Hello and happy Friday to everyone. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Fridays, as the kids say, Renee, just hit a little different, you know? Just hits a little different knowing it's Friday.
Never heard that before.
No?
Not really.
It hits different. Isn't that what the kids are saying? I'm cool. I'm hip. What's up, fellow teens? We're on the YouTube. We're doing it.
On the YouTube.
Oh, yeah. On the TikTok.
Oh, no. It's not the in front of anything progressive commercial.
Do we really need 40 pictures of Donna's party? No,
you're turning
we
into
don't.
your parents, Jamie.
Yeah.
Listen, I will say today I was in like a Friday mood.
Yeah.
There's like a few different moods. There's some new music that dropped. I know I was talking about before the show with our social media manager, Chris Frezza. Some new music has dropped around the world. Chris Brown, different people drop new music. And it got me thinking about some old classics
I
today.
always have those Chris Brown noties on, as the kids say.
Oh, okay. You're just in your bag today, apparently.
I am not a Chris Brown.
But it's a little gloomy today, so it was giving me like New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain vibes. And it was giving, for some people, might be Friday payday, just got paid. But for us, it's Shop Till You Drop, which is not a song, but I think there's some shopping songs.
Corbin Burnes vibes or Eduardo Rodriguez
it's giving,
vibes?
For me, it's giving the vibes of it's time to shop.
Mike
Better have
Trout
my money.
vibes.
Let's spend some money.
Yeah,
money, honey.
hopefully John Middleton got paid today
Just
so he can get
paid.
ready to head out here. There's a lot to get into today. We want to buzz through a lot. We got our buddy John Foley joining us in like 40 minutes. But a lot of things to get to today as, you know, the GM meeting's wrapped up, but the rumor mill still in full force. Now, yesterday, as we wrapped up the show, before we were leaving here after the show, the tweet comes out that the Milwaukee Brewers will listen to offers for anyone. And pitcher Corbin Burnes is phenomenal. He's a really, really good pitcher. And I think a lot of Phillies fans have mentioned him theoretically in passing over the last like year or two. Like if Milwaukee blows up, ready to pounce on Corbin Burnes. The Brewers said anyone could be had for the right price. The right price for Corbin Burnes is most definitely going to involve, I would think, a Mick Abel and a Griff McGarry at a starting point. Painter's probably a guy you can protect for him. But Corbin Burnes could be had, and, you know, he's right up there, as good as Blake Snell and as Aaron Nola. You could even make the case maybe even slightly better than the two of them, but definitely in the same ballpark as the two of them. Yamamoto is more that unknown. So, Renee, if you had your druthers, and as somebody I used to work with would say, well, the druthers can only be yours. So, of course, shout out John Kincaid. One more cancer treatment to go. Best of luck with that, buddy. But if you had your druthers, would you prefer to sign an Aaron Nola, a Blake Snell, a Yamamoto, or would you go and trade for a Corbin Burnes, which means you have to give up some prime prospects of yours? Where would you fall on that one? Versus the spend money or send the prospects out?
Bring on the money, honey. Listen, I have been saying that I'd love to see a Corbin in a Phillies uniform as long as it's their first name is Corbin, not last name Corbin. And I'm all for it. I think
Patrick
that
Corbin sucks. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I had to make that disclaimer.
He's very bad.
There's some heavy hitter first name Corbins in the league, and I'll take any of them. I wouldn't bat an eye. I love the fact that Milwaukee's willing to virtually shop for any player on the roster, which means they're open to all the conversations, all the options, all about. I like negotiations, and I think that you absolutely can get some great deals for Corbin Burnes. Burnes, obviously, with him being a free agent next year.
Yeah, so he's in the final year of arbitration, and that's why they're shopping him.
That's exactly it. I think that's the perfect time to bring him in, as we've been having conversations about who would replace Aaron Nola. This is a deal that I would take forward, backwards, any day of the week without hesitation. And look, Corbin Burnes' numbers that he's posted, having phenomenal just careers as a whole. He's a guy that you without a doubt want. I know we've got some of the stats on him, but you don't have a Corbin Burnes on the market every day. You don't see those types of names that come available or even in the mix to become available. So you cannot pass up this opportunity to at least try to come up with a deal with the Brewers. For him, an all-star, a Cy Young winner, a guy that's, can come into your team and be the starting pitcher. Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burnes? Are you kidding?
I mean, that's filthy. It's absolutely filthy.
Give me the World Series now. Look at the numbers that we've seen from Corbin Burnes in his 32 starts, 193 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 10-8 record, a 3.39 ERA, 200 strikeouts, and 1.069 WHIP, 200 plus strikeouts each of the last 3 years. I know Aaron Nola's also had 5 seasons of 200 plus strikeouts. Okay, Corbin Burnes, come on in. You've got the last straight 3 years of that. And in 2023 was the first season where we saw his ERA in the 3 since 2019. Corbin Burnes, please. Come on over, buddy. Come on over. It's nice here in Philly.
Yeah,
much better than Milwaukee.
I know Tyler's getting real randy in the other room, baseball randy, and we'll get his opinion on Corbin Burnes in a second. But John in the chat, Sequela, thanks for joining us, John, and
welcome.
Eugene and John Dickerson and Martian and everybody in here. We appreciate you guys. Smash that like button while you're in here. John says, I'm 100% certain that the Phillies are going to leave the winter meetings having added a legit top of the rotation starter. Could be via trade, might be a free agent, but they're getting one. I agree with you because, this core, and we'll talk about Mike Trout in 1 second, but if you're telling me your all-in options are Corbin Burnes or Mike Trout, let's just say, because you only have so many of, Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton aren't going to pay $1 billion to 3 players in Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Mike Trout. So, you have to kind of juggle how you're going to spend, even though it's a, capless league. If you're telling me Corbin Burnes or Mike Trout, it's Corbin Burnes 7 days a week, twice on Sundays, whatever you want to say. Corbin Burnes to me is a much more all-in move than Mike Trout, who you're lucky if plays 85, 90 games for you.
Yeah, well, as I'm keeping with my Music Friday vibes, I'm a music person, guys. I love to just tap in music, but it's giving right now, let it burn. Cue Usher, because
you're doing it again.
I'm doing it again. It's gonna hurt for me to say this. It's coming from the heart. Milwaukee, it's been a long time coming, but you and Burnes fell apart. And if you want to work this out, the Phillies are the place. So
wow. Okay, it's already been thought about and executed.
No, I'm literally doing that off the cuff. Actually, I'm freestyling. Oh wow, I'm surprised myself. But it's time to bring Burnes over. Tyler, I know you're salivating back there at the thought of Corbin Burnes in a Phillies uniform.
Is it okay to turn on your camera?
We'll
see. Is it safe for work
back
there?
We'll give it a shot.
Look at
Look at that. It's not as nice as your cameras, but I also have to look directly. I have to look directly into my computer, which is a little weird. I feel like we're back into 2020.
I'm not sure I even look in the cameras.
Work from home era. But Corbin Burnes is super exciting. Like we talked about that above 3 ERA for the first time in 4 years. Listen, we talked about runs and ERA. Moving in the wrong direction. Well, ERA at least for pitchers moving in the wrong direction over the last over this season compared to the last couple because of the pitch clock, because of the limited throwovers. So there's a lot of stuff involved that helped raise ERAs across baseball this year. But the one thing that I really love about Corbin Burnes, he doesn't walk hitters, and his whip is. It's off the charts. He's a starting pitcher.
He's pretty much sub 1 every year.
He was sub 1 every year except for this year. And by the way, this year he was above 1. And I'm pretty sure he led the league in whip this season. He's started 32 plus games over the last couple of years, 28, the year before the COVID season. He's the type of guy that can anchor a starting rotation. And if you're going with a Wheeler and a Burnes at 1-2, I think it's almost better.
It's the best in baseball.
It's almost better than Wheeler and Nola.
I would agree. Yeah, I think it is better than Wheeler and Nola. The year he won the Cy Young 3 years ago, you talked about it. The lowest home runs per 9 in baseball, the highest strikeouts per 9 in baseball, and the highest strikeouts per win in baseball.
And by the way, 200 plus strikeouts each of the last 3 seasons, like Renee talked about, led the league in strikeouts last year. The numbers are telling, and I know that he's going to be 29, and to me that's not old for starting pitching.
No,
you can get this guy can be had, especially if they're willing to avoid the arbitration year and go with a 5-year deal.
I would think that's the move.
This is exciting.
Yeah, and his arbitration year, he's on the books for about roughly 14.1 according to Spot Track. So the other thing about Corbin Burnes is the durability and the innings. The last 3 years, which have been his main years as the starter, 167, 202, 193. Now, Aaron Nola, one of the things that he's sought after for on the market is his durability. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Like, unless you find that guy that's your true number 2, if you have to talk about a Ranger or somebody stepping up into that role, you're looking at a guy that barely goes over 150 innings. This was courtesy of Phillies Tailgate on Twitter. We talked about Nola's durability. Well, dating back since 2017, Aaron Nola has led the team in innings pitched, except that 1 year when Zach Wheeler went 213, and I think Nola went like 204 or something that year. So that innings pitched is a real deal. And Corbin Burnes looks like a guy that can come in here and easily give you between 175 and 200 innings, and that's pretty valuable in and of itself. Not to mention he's probably a better pitcher than Aaron Nola. So the thought of this is incredibly enticing. I'm not afraid to throw Abel and McGarry. Justin Crawford we're protecting at all costs. But a couple other prospects, you know, Corbin Burnes is probably that guy where you have to give up like 3 of your top 10 prospects, I would think, because there is a looming contract with him. So I'm all for the proven sure thing over the prospects. I do want to protect some guys, but at age 29, you should be able to get a solid, 3 to 4 more years out of a Wheeler Burnes top of the rotation. Yeah, I know. And that's a whole lot of sexy. It is a whole lot of baseball sexy.
My tough question I have to ask, guys, is where do I sign? I mean, listen, I know in the chat, John, again, you're saying a Burnes-Wheeler combo is disgusting. That's that pow, pow. Wheeler and Snell would be 2. You like Gray and Erod also, but Burnes and Snell are exciting as hell.
It's the best 1-2 in baseball.
Yeah. Trevor, welcome. We're feeling great today because we know that Corbin Burnes is on the market and there's a possibility that the Phillies can snag him. You don't have a starting pitcher like that comes available every day, and there's an opportunity for the Phillies to make it happen, and hopefully they do. Eugene, I'm going to take that as a compliment that I'm the great value version of Cardi B, because I am freestyling on this Friday a little bit for you guys. But yeah, you got to be feeling good about that news because we've been talking about on the show. Obviously, we broke down starting pitchers. We talked about guys like Sonny Gray and Blake Snell and Yamamoto, and we just talked through the different prospects in free agency. But as we all know, beyond free agency, the trades that are possible, and those are the conversations we don't even know that are happening behind the scenes. But to hear that this one's coming out, that Milwaukee's ready to throw anything and everything in the kitchen sink out the window if needed, makes it exciting. I know the White Sox there's some other teams that are out there heavily shopping. It's not just Milwaukee.
Every contender is going to want a Corbin Burnes on their team. So you have to think like whoever doesn't get Ohtani is going to be in on them. The Yankees and thinking about adding Corbin Burnes to Garrett Cole is filthy. The Red Sox need pitching.
There's a lot of teams heavily on the market.
So there's big market teams with money and assets. And God forbid, I don't even want to think about the thought of the Atlanta Braves getting involved for Corbin Burnes. But all these teams that are on the doorstep are going to want Corbin Burnes too. So it's going to take a lot to get them.
It's feeling like Black Friday. The old school Black Friday. Now with everybody shopping online, it's more of a Cyber Monday vibe. But the old school Black Friday when everyone's rushing into the stores at the same time and snagging the last TVs off the shelves, that's what it's feeling like. Everybody's got their shopping carts ready and we're lined up at the door all ready to race in because it's not just the Phillies that are excited today. We're not the only ones excited about the possibilities. There are so many teams that you keep hearing about ready to just throw it all out there. They have a lot of players that they're selling. The market is hot right now. I know for the Padres specifically, Juan Soto, looking at you.
Yeah, I see the chat's always saying Casty for Soto. Who says
I
no?
would take it.
I think the Padres say no.
I would take it. But yeah, the Padres, I don't know if they would like that deal. But Juan Soto and, gosh, the names that are available.
I mean, some of the names now, because Mike Trout has taken over. Yes. People are getting irrational.
Mike Trout has entered the chat.
All right, let's just address the Mike Trout thing.
Let's do it.
I am, I say this, acknowledging the greatness that Mike Trout possesses. It's 4 straight years where he's been injured, and one of those injuries is a back, and he's not getting any younger, and he is going to cost a ton of money. Yes, I know he doesn't have to play center field anymore. He can play left field. And if the baseball season was 80 to 100 games, I would say it's a no-brainer. Go get him. But it's not. It's 162 games plus playoffs. The chances I think Mike Trout plays full baseball seasons anymore are probably pretty slim. I would go elsewhere in my direction this offseason, even though I know how fucking good Mike Trout is when he's healthy. I just think this team is too close to gamble on that big of an if.
Yeah, I know in the chat, Dave, you're saying no on Trout. No, with all capitals. The discussion around Mike Trout has always been one. I know even in the show yesterday, people were talking about Mike Trout in the conversation in the chat. And it's a name you always bring up. Obviously, he's local, growing up in Vineland. We all know
I think if he's not local, the push isn't there for him.
Right, and I don't
as
exactly.
much as
but
it
also at one point, Mike Trout was one of the faces of Major League Baseball. But when you look at the injuries over the last years, you don't have that same excitement about possibly bringing in Mike Trout. I mean, now the other side of it, the Angels have reportedly said they do not want to trade Mike Trout. It has been reported if he were to ask out, then they would oblige and follow along. But right now, Trout hasn't, according to reports as of this specific second, hasn't given any hints regarding that. Even said he expects to be with the team at the beginning of next season. But the GM also, Perry Manasian, I believe is how you say last name. The GM also shut down any Trout trade rumors at the GM meeting, saying that Trout is someone who he wants around. So it seems like his name's been dangled out there, as does all the rest. But according to Mike is saying the politically correct things of like, I'm going to be here next season.
Yeah, okay.
And the GM saying we want to see him here next season.
Bryce Harper in 2019 when he was signed was like, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to get Mike Trout if he's here, if he becomes available.
But also we know they're already shopping out with Ohtani, and I don't imagine for the Angels.
Because they're a loser franchise.
And you haven't, with 2 superstars, haven't been able to get to the playoffs.
And I say that as the biggest loser franchise in existence. All right, I want to just be clear. The Phillies are the biggest loser. The Angels are just more currently a loser.
I could see the Angels considering trades for Mike Trout.
I would.
I absolutely would.
Get that money off the books.
Figure out if you're already shopping Ohtani out, shop Trout out, see what you can get. He has been injured the last 4 seasons. You haven't exceeded or reached any of the expectations that you thought you'd have with having those two. It's time to shop. I know in the chat you guys are talking about DBS talking about Soto. What do you figure Soto would cost? I know the market was saying that he is expected to get a $23 million raise in his final year of arbitration. There are a number of teams that are would be interested in paying to be able to bring him in, without a doubt. I'm not in on Mike Trout. I'd be in on Juan Soto if you could afford him, but he's very expensive. I'm in on Corbin
Burnes over all of them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, because you need someone like Corbin Burnes. You can go without Mike Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout is under contract through 2030 at almost $36 million per year. Thank you. Yeah, I understand the intrigue and why it's a conversation, but no, thank you. I'd like to go get Corbin Burnes. I'd like to go get some more bullpen help, maybe a more consistent corner outfield hitter. Mike Trout could be that if he's healthy, and
that's the key. It goes back to what's needed. Even with Juan Soto, I know you're talking, Barbara, that possibly a team like the Yankees would be interested in him. Obviously, 35 homers, 109 RBIs last season. He's the one of the names that's very hot on the market right now as well. But for Juan Soto and Mike Trout with the Phillies specifically, it would look nice to be able to bring them in, but you don't need to bring them in. There's no need for that. I mean, look at Mike Trout's stats. This past season, I know we have the numbers for you in the 82 games played in 2023. 82 games played, 263, 367, 490 split, 18 home runs, 40 RBIs, 11-time All-Star, 3-time MVP. We know he's an 8-time Silver Slugger, 7 years left on his deal. That's the most important thing. Yeah. I think the most important thing is the top and bottom, 82 games played,
absolutely.
And 7 years left on his deal. He signed, of course, that 12-year $426 million contract back in 2019, which was ludicrous. And there's many years still left on that. We're not even halfway through that 12-year deal. Trout is someone that you absolutely do not need to have on the Phillies. There's no reason to splurge If we're shopping, we're window shopping right now, I'm not splurging on Mike Trout because the priority has to be starting pitcher. And if you have to choose, like we said, between Mike Trout, Juan Soto, and Corbin, I'm going, let it burn all day, every day, because it's a much better fit for what the Phillies specifically need. A Wheeler, Burnes, Ranger, Sanchez. You've got Orion coming into a full year. This is. It would be scary times. It'd be scary times if you can bring in Corbin Burnes.
So what's not scary times, and before we get to a couple more rumors involving the Phillies, and before we get to John Foley, is Wheelhouse Cards. It's awesome. They have 2 locations in Wayne and Westchester. Our own Zach Berman said it's his son's favorite store, the Wayne location. It's awesome. I follow them on Instagram. You should too. The store is awesome. It's our go-to gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley, especially with the holidays coming up. Keep Wheelhouse Cards in mind. Their motto, it's cards and community, because sports is something that unites us all. They carry all of your favorite card brands like Topps, Chrome Baseball, and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and so much more from brands like Mitchell & Ness, Mosaic Football, 47 Brand, Junk Food, Starter, and Shy Vintage Sports. And if you're looking to have your sports card collection graded, Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. So stop into either of the locations in Wayne or Westchester. And Westchester's awesome, the town. So if you're in Westchester area, make sure you're stopping by. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. Use code PHLY to get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. And like I said, follow them on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. All right, a couple other rumors as we're buzzing through. We got to stay focused. I got to stay Adderalled up today and focus, eyes on the prize. I was reading John Heyman in the New York Post this morning, and I know this is another name that will fancy Tyler's baseball bones in the other room. I will just read John Heyman's words for you. A little snippet in his morning roundup. A new Phillies pitcher rumor has entered the arena.
Oh, boy.
Eduardo Rodriguez could double the $49 million he opted out of, and the Cardinals, Red Sox, and Phillies look like possible contenders there. Eduardo Rodriguez is a guy we talked about the other day. He's opted out of his Detroit contract. Who wants to stay in Detroit when St. Louis, Boston, and the Phillies could be options? Eduardo Rodriguez, depending, I wouldn't want to. I mean, he's probably, if you compared him to twos around baseball, he's probably in the middle to back end of those twos. But there's certainly worse options. I would like better than Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm not opposed to Eduardo Rodriguez. But before we get to Tyler, Renee, like, how does he stack up for you in terms of potential gaps to fill if Aaron Nola leaves?
I'm still stuck on Corbin Burnes.
Okay.
I'm not settling for anything else because now you've showed me the top items on the list that I can buy possibly, and then you're coming at me with talking about the name, the non-name brand he's not a knockoff, but I'm still stuck on Corbin Burnes. Listen, if it is Eduardo Rodriguez, over someone like a Sonny Gray, hands down.
Like that, I think is totally fine.
Like Eduardo needs to be, if the Phillies are unable to bring in Corbin Burnes.
He is no Burnes. He is no Snell.
No.
Aaron Nola.
And honestly, yeah, I think he just took the leap to the top of that next group because we talked about Yamamoto, Snell, Burnes, the ones that you would talk through. But Rodriguez, I would say, is that next tier, and I would take him before Yamamoto because I just would know what we're going to get from him. But 3.30 ERA last season, 13-9 record, 143 strikeouts, 1.15 whip. Like, you know what you're going to get from Eduardo Rodriguez. Look at his stats that we've seen so far: the 227, 289, 359 split in 2023, and it's all career bests for him. His biggest concerns, and I'll let you jump in more about this, Tyler, surrounding him. Tyler, the dip in velocity and the dwindling strikeout rate. I'll let you jump in on that.
Before Tyler hops in, John makes a really good point in the chat that Erod is a Dombrowski guy from his time. I think he was drafted. Was he drafted by Detroit, Tyler, or internationally signed? I don't remember the origin.
No, because remember, he was with Boston prior.
Oh, right. Okay. So he might have been a Dombrowski guy from Boston. So your thoughts? I know you're the highest on him of all of us.
Yeah, I think that dip in velocity is fair, right? Because we get on Taijuan Walker for the second half of the season, right?
Yeah.
He
The wear and tear.
Listen, he was strong in the first half. You guys know how much I dislike Taijuan Walker, but he was strong in the first half of the season. Rodriguez, I'm not going to put them on the same level because Rodriguez is a better pitcher, but the velocity did dip from high 93s to mid 93s to high 92s throughout the course of the season, which makes you wonder, does the innings, do the innings start to compile on a guy like Eduardo Rodriguez? But I will say, I think that he has always been a strikeout pitcher, and this year with his velocity dipping and his strikeouts dipping,
he
with
unlocked up something.
I think he's learned how to pitch.
Yeah.
As opposed to I am a big proponent of there are pitchers and there are throwers, and for the first portion of Eduardo Rodriguez's career, I think he was a thrower, and now I think he's a pitcher, and I think that does something for a guy when they learn how to become a major league pitcher.
Valid points.
Yeah. I do like the thought really quickly before you move on, Jamie. As you guys are talking in the chat, I know a lot of people are sharing their thoughts on it. I think it was Trevor maybe that was saying, if you can scroll up a little bit, I was trying to remember the name that said it. Maybe it was Kim, actually. Somebody was talking about, oh boy. Oh, you scrolled too far. It's okay.
People are buzzing with the hot stove
the chat
talk.
is moving so quickly I can't keep up, but keep the comments coming. Somebody was talking about having Aaron Nola and Corbin Burnes as the top two options. And then from there, if the next options are Rodriguez, yes, perfect. Thank you. It was MBDBDBF. Thank you,
Well, that's because he's a known Snell hater,
the next tier,
which is a little irrational.
But the next tier for me is looking at Rodriguez, Snell, Gray, and then Gray being the next one below that. But, the options that are there, if A options, B options, you really can't go terribly wrong with any of those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
Corbin Burnes definitely strengthened the market.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, it's different. You have to trade for him. You can't just go spend money and get him.
Yeah.
But it definitely strengthens the ace aspect of the market. So the other nuggets in John Heyman's piece have to do with Aaron Nola and Blake Snell. And they're going to cost a lot of money. The whole point of Heyman's article, and look, Heyman is a Boris guy for transparency here. This is probably where he's getting a lot of his information from, and his contract ideals from. Is Scott Boras is probably directly feeding him. That's fine because Scott Boras doesn't call me, so I will take what John Heyman says with a grain of salt. But the whole focus of the article is that these pitchers are due for an absolute lottery payday. Because it's scarce at the top and because teams always need pitching. This is what he has to say about Aaron Nola and Blake Snell. And again, every time somebody talks about Aaron Nola, this is how it usually is prefaced. The uber reliable Aaron Nola or uber durable Aaron Nola, but this says the uber reliable Aaron Nola is said to be seeking $200 million. And who's to say he doesn't? For what?
You use the word Uber? Not super?
Uber.
Okay, that's weird.
Uber reliable.
Okay.
Set to be seeking $200 million, and who's to say he doesn't get it? The Phillies are talking to Nola first, but they were $100 million apart in spring training last year. If they can't bridge a gap wider than the Schuylkill, the Phillies will likely replace him with another ace. Good local, topography, or what do you call waterway knowledge?
I mean, that was cute.
Yeah, that was good to work in the local Schuylkill.
like a local joke.
Yeah,
jokel.
That's good work by John Heyman, I think.
Yeah. It was cute. It lost me.
$200 million.
You lost me at Uber. I could not pay attention.
I didn't make it up.
No,
Uber.
I know, but it lost me at Uber because it just took away from the credibility of what he's saying. It just, what are we shopping for batteries here? I mean, it's just wild. That's like his biggest thing, and that is what we like about Aaron Nola, all the innings that he's pitched. I know Barbier is saying, let's not think about Nola anymore. He had his chances. Listen, I'm not going to lie, guys.
I thought it was interesting it says that they're talking first.
When Corbin Burnes' name slid out there, I was like,
but
bye, Aaron. Bye.
You have to give up prospects to get him, and they're both going to cost you similar amounts of money. So, I mean, it's an interesting GM.
Do you go with the sure thing of what you know what you're going to get from Aaron, but you know what you're going to get from both of them, but
one is slightly better.
And one's already been here versus making a change and getting someone new.
That's overrated when it comes to somebody as good as Corbin Burnes.
That's what I'm saying.
But you have to give up probably 2 of your top 6 or 7 prospects,
Done.
which I'm fine with. I'm just saying, like,
wouldn't want to be
there are different ways to get them. So what Heyman says about Blake Snell, he says certainly NL Cy Young winner Blake Snell is looking higher than Aaron Nola's $200 million. And while agent Scott Boras is pointing out Snell's similarities with Randy Johnson at age 30, MBD, cover your ears. These are Scott Boras's words, not mine. Snell has limited hitters to a 204 average at age 30, and it was 209 for Randy Johnson at age 30. A very particular thing to point out. Some see the best comp as Steven Strasburg, who got $245 million for 7 years. If Blake Snell gets up into the 245 range, I think I'm tapping out. I like Blake Snell. He's fine. But if you start to get to like 250 for him, I'd rather then go trade for a Corbin Burnes, who's also probably going to get 250, but is slightly younger and I think more consistent and possibly better.
Yeah.
You're talking about Cy Young winner, so it's like Apple, there's no lose there. But I'd rather Corbin Burnes than Blake Snell at that money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't need to, if you can come up with a better deal to bring in Corbin Burnes. I know, Chris, you're saying in the chat that you don't feel like the Phillies have the pieces to be able to bring in and make that deal happen for Corbin Burnes. I know also, Barbara, you're on the same page as me. We're here of let's make the move. We got to improve. We're not good enough. Jay Flo's in the chat. We haven't seen you since the NLCS. Well, you're the Diamondbacks
into the
fan.
same darkness we did for like a week
fan
after
coming
losing.
back, yeah. And you're saying,
hello, Jay. Now we're just collective losers together. Welcome back.
Now Jay is saying they really should re-sign Nola or trade for Kershaw.
Oh God, no! Jay, get out of here with that Kershaw talk.
David's saying Kershaw needs a change of scenery. He could, but just not in Philly. But yeah, I just think that when you look at this team, I know Kim was saying it earlier. We've all mentioned it here. There's no major tweaks major changes needed. You don't need to uproot a whole bunch, but some minor adjustments to improve in some areas. But it has to make sense financially. That's the beauty. The Phillies aren't desperate, so they don't have to just take any deal. And if Snell's numbers are going to be upwards of 245, no deal. Deal or no deal? No deal. So same thing that we talked about with Mike Trout. You're not desperate for him. You're not desperate for Juan Soto. You're not desperate for Blake Snell either. Yamamoto, same thing. So there are some good prospects out there.
I am desperate for a true number 2 pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. But not desperate to the point of spending.
Let's circle back on that.
You said 245 for Blake Snell if you can get Corbin Burnes.
I personally wouldn't, but like if there's nobody left and Blake Snell at 240 becomes like all that's left, like I mean, my desperation is a stinky cologne, as they say. So like if the market unfolds and Nola's gone, Yamamoto's gone, Burnes is gone, Eduardo Rodriguez signed somewhere else, Sonny Gray signed, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, 245 for Blake Snell. All right, I guess, fine. So there is a point where I become desperate enough to pay that. But
as of this moment, the Phillies are not desperate, but anything can change.
But desperation is a stinky, stinky cologne.
We know over the next weeks things are going to be changing around here like the weather.
Shout out to Yeashmeister in the chat.
Yes.
He's a guy I've gone back and forth with on our Discord channel a bunch.
Absolutely.
Good to see him in here. And if you want to hop in and become a diehard member with us here at ALLCITY, it's pretty cool. You get the Discord channels. You get to talk to all of us, basically directly. Kyle and Derek are in the Sixers channel talking during games. I know me and you hop in the Phillies channel a lot. Renee also does the Union channel. So we have like these private kind of Discord channels. I'm new to Discord, and I think it's awesome connecting with all of you. So with the diehard membership, it's $79.99 a year. You get some paywall content from our awesome writers. You get a free T-shirt. You get the Discord access. You get discounts to events and stuff we're going to be doing over time. So a lot of great stuff. So I would encourage all of you to become a diehard and support us here at ALLCITY because we love all of you guys. And good to see some of you hopping in the chat for the Hot Stove conversation. Now, Renee, before we get to John Foley, we have an award that was won by one of our own. And then I know there's some all MLB stuff you wanted to hit on well. But let's start with Bryce Harper. I was kind of shocked to see that he won his Silver Slugger for the DH just because of time played. he was phenomenal this year. I mean, he was batting like 300 or above for the majority of the time this season. His power returned in August and September and kind of probably surged him into this award. You know, I will scream from the mountaintops or go up to the roof and scream it. I love Bryce Harper. I was like, oh, wow. He was still able to get the Silver Slugger. So congrats to Bryce on his third Silver Slugger award, this one for the DH position. Hopefully next year he'll beat out Matt Olson, who took home the first base in the NL. But Bryce Harper, third Silver Slugger. We'll run through the rest of the guys here in a second, but he's pretty good at baseball. Hot take.
That is. Oh, man. Wow. Learned something new today. No, I mean, for Bryce Harper, when he came back in May, we saw the slump that he went through in the middle of the season, homerless, and then of course, in the last 68 games, 18 home runs, a 1 OPS, you know, after snapping his homerless streak. Bryce Harper, you can't discredit the fact that he did all that after missing the start of the season.
He's a freak.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, I know he's listed as a DH, but still the way he came back and
Somebody's
played.
Somebody's got to win it.
Yeah, the way that he came back and played after an injury, a major, you know, elbow surgery at that. Yeah, I'm not surprised because Bryce Harper is a freak athlete and he always exceeds expectations in more than one way. But the list that he's on of Silver Slugger winners is a great list overall when you look across all the names.
A lot of Braves. A lot of stinking Braves. So first base, Matt Olson, very deserving. Luis Ariz takes home the second base Silver Slugger. Francisco Lindor, a lot of NL East guys is the overall takeaway from this. Lindor takes shortstop. Austin Riley takes third base. In the outfield, you have Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna Jr. as your corner outfielders. And then this guy, Mookie Betts, you might have heard of him, takes home center field. And Cody Bellinger. Tyler, is that like what's his position
it's
there?
It's kind of like what they did. It's kind of like what they did with the Gold Glove. They have a utility player.
Okay,
utility.
He's
like how
Ha-Seong
Kim won the utility Gold Glove.
Yeah.
Cody Bellinger is the same way.
Yeah, because Gunnar is the same thing. He's the AL utility
I
winner.
mean, that's nice.
That kid's filthy, by the way.
That's just.
I
don't think that's needed. You know what I mean? Like you're just making a fourth outfielder Silver Slugger spot, basically.
Yeah, it's come on. It is. We want to give somebody else an award, but we don't know where they could
trophy
fit.
culture.
Yeah,
Cancel his ass. Cody Bellinger, you don't deserve shit.
We're looking for more. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, with all the action that we saw from these guys this season, you know, congrats to them on being named Silver Sluggers. You know, they definitely stood up during game time and helped their teams out. And you can also step up during game time on the app. That is, the Game Time app allows you to be able to buy tickets for any concerts, games, events with a great price. They have the opportunity for you to see your seats before you go there, so you can check out your view, see exactly the angle that you'll have of the stage, the field, the court, whatever it is, the rink. So head over to the Game Time app, use that code PHLY, get $20 off. Again, for those of you on live with us on YouTube, it's right there on the bottom of your screen. Anybody that's listening across our podcast platforms, as we always appreciate those that listen back and can't join us live, it is code PHLY on the Game Time app. Download it, and first users get a chance to get $20 off of your purchase. Now, before we bring on John Foley, because it is Fridays with Foley, that would be the intro song if we had one. So I'm just going to make it myself because I make all the songs myself. But
we've noticed.
Yeah, don't worry, guys.
So
I'm in charge of show music. It's me, guys. It's me. There have been some different announcements that have come out. Of course, in addition to Bryce Harper being named a Silver Slugger, 5 different Phillies were named to the all MLB voting, so you can go and vote for them. Go vote for our guys, Trey Turner, Bryce again, by no surprise, JT, Kyle Schwartz, and Zach Wheeler. And I was cracking up at the fact that when the Phillies tweeted this out, the savage comments that I saw on Twitter from people were sad because Reese is possibly getting let go. They were saying it's time to give up and get Trout. There was all types of ludicrous things happening. And yes, I'm using ludicrous twice in the same show. you and Marshall on the same page. A lot of people were like, we don't care because you're letting Reese go. And there's some heartbroken fans, rightfully so. Some other things that came out earlier this week, there have been some promotions for the Phillies. So while they're making some deals, having some conversations, we know Dave's been hard at work having conversations this past week. They made some promotions. Brian Barber was promoted to assistant general manager. Amateur scouting.
Awesome. He's awesome.
Preston Mattingly was
He's very
promoted
handsome,
to
Preston Mattingly. Dad's Don, and then you get those good looks and you get gifted into the life of baseball. It's not bad.
All right now, Jamie.
Preston's a very handsome
reel it
man.
in over
I
there.
noticed
Reel it
that
on in.
in his Phillies tweet. I went, oh, look, he's, Preston Mattingly. Nice life.
So handsome Preston Mattingly, promoted to assistant general manager of player development.
Like, how cool is that?
Shush.
It's one of the best nicknames ever.
Jamie's fanboy over.
I used to love Don Mattingly.
Get your boy crush out of here.
I used to love Don Mattingly. I'm sorry. And I knew he was a Yankee, but it was at least during the dark times. Before they were the big giant. You guys are too young for Don Mattingly.
Oh, good Lord.
Great stash.
Don Mattingly is the most underappreciated. Like, he should be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind he should be a Hall of Famer.
You guys and your tangents.
Look up some of his numbers. He was awesome.
All right. Yes, for sure.
Sorry to rabbit hole.
No, it's fine.
I always liked Don Mattingly. He was cool.
And you're crushing on Preston, and you like Don. Yeah, it's cool.
He was very handsome. That's all.
Also, the Phillies promoted Derek Chung to director of international scouting, Edwin Soto to assistant director of player development, and Connor Betbays to assistant director of amateur scouting as well. And so
MBD's got me cracking up in the comments. I won't read it, but you in the comment section can enjoy that one. I kind of agree with you, MBD.
So yeah, it's cool. I like to see these different moves. I know there were some other transitions in roles. Sal Agostinelli was transitioned to an advisor role as senior advisor of international scouting. So some other moves that have been made throughout the Phillies front office and different roles. And so these are the types of moves that we're paying. Well, not these specifically, although Jamie's clearly paying attention to Preston. But
I'm deep diving Don Mattingly's baseball Pornhub reference.com page. Career 307 hitter.
Okay.
He had like 4 straight years of 200 plus hits.
Well, it's time for
145 RBIs
Fridays
1 year.
with Foley.
388 total bases 1 year.
Moving on from you, Jamie. Moving on because
John Mattingly.
Time to, you know what?
No, because John's old like me. Like,
as we're talking about replacing guys, I'm replacing this J for this J. Welcome in, John Foley. Nice to have you here. Always repping the Phillies with your merch. I see on your head you've got a nice Phillies hat, the classic on. Happy Friday. How are you feeling after a crazy, crazy week across the league with all the discussions and GM meetings and rumors that have come out? Uh-oh.
Well, slight technical difficulty. We'll rejoin with John here in a second. John was saying
things so great that we had to cut him out.
I am curious to hear John's thoughts on, Aaron Nola, the Rhys Hoskins rumor, the Corbin Burnes availability now. Hey, John, we got you? Nope. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Third time's a charm.
Come on. What do we got?
Talk to us, John.
All right. Well, we'll continue on until Tyler can figure that out. A nice little technical hiccup.
Wouldn't be a Friday without a, yeah. Don't worry. During this intermission, Jamie will sing some songs for you.
I will absolutely not. But you want me to keep going on Don Mattingly's baseball reference page?
No.
Oh, man. His OPS was 967 that year. I think he got overshadowed by Tony Gwynn, Robin Yount, Paul Molitor. Like, all those guys took a lot of Don Mattingly's shine. And he had a cool nickname, Renee. Donnie Baseball.
Yeah. What would your nickname be?
I don't know.
Jamie No Socks?
Unfortunately, if I played baseball, I'd have to probably wear some socks, which is unfortunate.
You could not wear socks.
No, because blisters and running and sweat and all that stuff. No, I don't think
that's
I could pull it off.
That's probably important. It's it's a disgusting thing to think about.
Yeah, Jay, the Diamondbacks troll in the comment section. Clayton Kershaw is literally the worst playoff pitcher I've ever seen with my own 2 eyeballs. I want nothing to do with Clayton Kershaw and the Philadelphia Phillies. Stop trolling us, please, about Clayton Kershaw. It's not happening.
But while you're here, make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Make sure you're jumping into the conversation in the chat. I know there's a thumbs down. I hope that's not you, Jay, who gave us a thumbs down. Rude. But yeah, make sure you're in the chats. And as always, if you guys ever miss us live on YouTube, you can always watch back on podcast platforms. If you want to just rewatch, maybe you like missed something great, or you want to hear my singing again, or whatever it is, or you want to hear Jamie fanboying again, you can always go back.
Yeah. I haven't thought about him in a long time. My friend growing up had like the Donnie baseball poster where he was leaning on the bat, and I think that, I don't know, it was seared in my brain.
Huh.
Did you ever get into like the posters, like the old school like 90s? Like,
oh, did I?
Yeah.
I used to always, because you could cut them out of magazines.
Yeah, well, Sports Illustrated for Kids always had the 3-section one,
and I had love that.
One of my I had two that I absolutely loved. One was the Bash Brothers with McGuire and Sosa wearing the Blues Brother hat.
Classic.
And then the local one I had that I absolutely loved was Dirt and Nails, where it was or Nails, Mr. Clean and Nails, and it was Dale Murphy and Lenny Dykstra, side by side. And Dale Murphy's jersey was always clean because he wasn't a mucker and a grinder like Dykstra. I used to love the childhood posters. Well, and then my favorite of all time is another sport, but the MJ leaving the foul line when everybody's holding up the 10s behind him and he's just soaring through the air. I mean,
that is a goodie.
I want to like just go decorate my basement in like old 90s sports posters.
Well, you used to buy the magazines and they'd be in there, and that was one of the most exciting parts about
Slam
going
had
to
some good ones.
Slam always had good ones, and I would check out like my favorite artists, like Aaliyah, TLC. I had Cisco. I had Allen Iverson.
Cisco.
Yeah, the thong song, which now I realize I was like 7 when that song came out.
Say,
and I was like dancing the thong song.
Very perverted song.
But when you think back, most kids are singing and dancing the perverted song. So it's kind of creepy when you think about it, how as a kid.
Yeah, I've seen some of my friends
like No
kids,
Scrubs, I'd be singing, and Destiny's Child. But now I'm like, okay, that was semi-innocent. But me singing thong song with my sisters, as we would always put on concerts. That's why, like, my music stuff didn't just start. I was always the kid putting on concerts and stuff. So back in the day, it'd be a thong song concert with me and my sisters singing in the living room. So
we have our technical team trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and it wouldn't be a Friday show without some technical issues. So we'll get to John in a minute as soon as we can kind of sort that stuff out
shortly.
Because I do want to play Guess That Ballpark with John.
I know. We need help.
I want to see him get tortured like we've been tortured. So infielder-wise and the free agent market hasn't been too exciting. Nah. There's one thing I'll mention that I've seen the Phillies tied to at least twice now, which I find very hard to believe, but it's out there in the rumor mill. There's not a lot of like big name infield players. Matt Chapman is going to be the biggest, and he's actually the name I've seen. Now, granted, this is extreme rumor mill, GM meeting related. Maybe somebody's just floating it out there to gauge interest or whatever. But Matt Chapman for the Phillies, and that would mean moving Alec Bohm. Now, I don't understand why they do that unless they were just looking for a power upgrade from the position. I don't give it much credibility, but it is something that I've seen out there, meaning it's something that probably somebody is putting out into the but I thought that was a weird one. I don't think the Phillies are going to be looking to do that because Alec Bohm just improved in every basically category except power, but got to 100 RBIs still. So I don't, that one doesn't pass the smell test to me.
Well, Matt Chapman has been consistently a name floating around because he's one of the best available and the best available infielder that you see right now in the market. I know Heyman also reported that they think Chapman's going to get close to a $150 million deal.
$1.50, I'll sign him right now and figure it out.
But, not a great stretch in the season for Chapman. When you look at after the month of April when he had a .659 OPS over his final 113 games, but still high in demand. I know he's someone that I had listed as an infielder to just keep an eye on, not just specifically for the Phillies, but because there's not a lot of infielders that I'm seeing right now. It's not. He's really the only name, which is why by default he's the one that people are rating so highly. He does have a high strikeout rate. His strikeout rate has been higher than 27% in each year since 2020. Obviously, he's a Gold Glover, one of the best defensive players, but it's, as we see from guys like Yoro, do you want to have a player that you're bringing in that's
you're still trying. He's going to be in the minors next year.
There's so many. We've already seen a guy in Johan Rojas that's a great defensive player, but doesn't give you good at bats. Why would you come bring in somebody else that's doing the same thing? But, 17 homers this year, 28.5 that he averaged in prior years. So the numbers on his at-bats are not great, and they're decreasing. And I know, John, you're saying in the chat he's another streaky bat.
Yeah, I think it makes
he's
absolutely
a
no
solution without
sense.
a problem. It just doesn't. It's kind of like you're
Brian
trading.
said it makes no sense. Yeah, I think an agent is maybe using the Phillies. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and
It's
I know
not a problem
John.
that exists.
John, there's a lot of Johns in the chat actually, but John, you're saying John M. You're saying Bohm is a pretty good value, and you can't have everyone on the team making 20, more than 20 million. So that is a big part. You're gonna have Alec Bohm, who you can have for cheaper.
I think he's just entering his first or second year of arbitration.
We saw him at over 20 home runs this past year. I mean, he did struggle at stretches in the postseason. He's
arbitration eligible year 1 right now, so he's due roughly for 4.6. Why would you want to go pay Matt Chapman?
Yeah, and when you're not going to get much from Matt Chapman offensively. So, yes, you can have him he's a great third baseman, but not someone that you fully are going to throw it all in to try to find a way to Chapman for Bohm. It's not really a big change.
Let's try this again. John, do we have you?
No!
Oh, I'm going to go take a header out the window. Right?
Well, while we're talking about,
Here, we'll do this game, John. I'm going to throw some names at you. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Corbin Burnes, are you all in? Thumbs up, yeah.
Just one thumb. I feel like he's like 2, 3, 4 thumbs up.
Keeping Aaron Nola, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh.
Thumbs up. All right.
He's like a maybe, though. I saw a little maybe.
Blake Snell, thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm the same way. Like, Yamamoto. Thumbs up. And who else have we
It's actually kind of a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of enjoying this.
The podcast listeners are like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Yeah.
So sorry to all you podcast people.
Well, no, you're giving the answer. You're saying it verbally so they can hear it.
True.
At least you're,
Mike Trout, John, thumb up or thumb down?
Oh, I thought.
Oh, yeah. He gave him the old gladiator.
Adamant no, shaking his head no before he went thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think any need. Who else have we talked about?
Chapman. Matt Chapman.
Yeah, I don't see any need there. It's not a real problem.
He's like an Okay, agreed.
Teoscar Hernandez.
I got one after
down?
you.
Yeah, down. Too many strikeouts, I think,
Sonny
John said.
Gray.
Testing.
See, all we had to do was play a game to get you working. That's
All
what
right.
it was. We had to warm things up a bit.
That was a lot of fun. I'm really a better guest when I can't speak. So this I'm mostly for the best, to be honest.
So everybody that's listening, this is John Foley, runs 2008 Phils on Twitter. He's been joining us every Friday here to have a little fun. Obviously there's been the GM meetings, John. A lot of the names we just gave you for the thumbs up, thumbs down game have been, hot stove rumor tied to the Phillies in one way, shape or form. Where does your instinctual baseball gut find you right now on this Friday? Like, who's your number one? Who are you yearning for as the Phillies are heating up here in the offseason?
Yeah, I'm in a bad place because I'm finding it hard to get excited about anybody other than Corbin Burnes, and that's not where you want to be.
That's what we were
right?
talking about.
He's only going to go to one team. The Phillies probably having conversations, but who knows if you're there. But overall, I need to see. I hope there's some sort of comprehensive plan that we're not aware of, because I don't see what they're doing right now. So one, you've got to get the pitching sorted out before anything else. I get that. It's either Nola, somebody other than Nola. If we're looking to upgrade, if we think we're a team that's right there, I don't know if there's many upgrades out there. Burnes, obviously, will cost us some prospects. I'm fine with that, given where the team is and that the window is now, depending on the prospects, obviously. I think Nola's sort of, that's the person for all the grief everybody gave Nola over the course of the season. I think that's the guy you want back if you don't get Burnes. What you absolutely can't do is go into the postseason with Taijuan Walker as your number 3 starter and bumping Suarez up to 2. Maybe you can get comfortable with that. it's tough. So I think gut feeling. I think they'll end up bringing Nola back. Maybe there's just a lot of posturing about these big contract hopes, and everybody's sort of waiting to see where their first big deal goes down, and then we'll sort of set the market. At least
John,
if you keep Nola
this morning. Sorry, I was just going to say John Heyman said this morning Nola's looking for north of $200 million, right in that ballpark. Are you totally fine giving Aaron Nola, say, a 7 or 8 year deal for $200 million? But
totally fine is a strong way to put it. If that's what the market says his value is, then that's what he costs. I feel like somebody's probably going to pay it to him, and yeah, I mean it might have to be us. It's just supply and demand. There's not a lot of pitchers out there. I do think that is. Contract numbers always seem ridiculous until the next round, and then they don't, right? But that does seem like an enormous amount of money for Aaron Nola. I know he's, quote, more durable than these other pitchers. But, I don't know if too much is being made of the innings he covers, because I'm looking at the numbers from last season, right? And you've got his ERA in the first 3 innings, 4.03. His ERA in the middle 3 innings, 4.82. And then his ERA in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning last season, 5.27. So are you really getting that much more out of the 6th, 7th, 8th inning Nola than you would get out of average major league bullpen pitching? I don't know. So would you rather get 5 quality Cy Young candidate innings and then swap to the bullpen? I don't know. I think there's something to be said there. Yes, if Nola will pitch 60, 70 more innings than Snell, you've got to cover those innings with somebody. But that might not be the wrong approach. But now, the rumors are that Snell's looking for even more money than Nola. So I don't know. Pick your poison.
It is interesting because I know everybody keeps talking about the durability, the innings pitched. And are we looking for quality or are we looking for quantity? Because as you talk about, as those innings wear on, it's not like Aaron Nola's getting better. He's dipping lower and getting worse. So I'm going to toss a question out at you. Obviously, it's not our money. So that $200 million, I still wouldn't pay it, though. What's your top choice for the Phillies in terms of pitchers? What's your next choice? If you're making a deal, what's the first one that you're actively going after? And then what's the second choices for you?
I'm checking in with Milwaukee on Burnes, doing anything I can to make that happen. And I think number 2, I think he pivoted back to Nola. After that, Snell. But I mean, I don't know. It's a bad situation. It's tough. It's why I'm concerned about the Phillies' approach overall. And then once you get past the pitching, now you've got to deal with the lineup, and that's where I failed to see the plan. It felt at the beginning of the offseason that your choices were between sort of keeping Hoskins' bat in the lineup or having Rojas out in center in his glove. And reasonable people can disagree over whether you want that Gold Glove caliber center fielder out there or whether you want Hoskins' bat. And it's like, all right, well, now Harper's going to play first base. We sort of know what's going on. Hoskins is not going to be in the mix. Oh, but also the chatter is that Rojas is going to start in AAA to get everyday at-bats, which it really seems like he needs. Okay, so we need one outfielder. Marshall's back in center, Castellanos right. Now you need an outfielder in left. And then the next thing you hear is they're looking or open to trading Castellanos. And then now you need 2 outfield spots. So we just went from having too many outfielders and first basemen to not enough and needing to fill 2 outfield spots plus a top of the rotation pitcher. Like I would say my overarching feeling is concern at this point. I hope there's a plan, but whatever it is, I can't really see it. I hope there's something big in the works this is not even on our radar.
Yeah, and Dombrowski historically is pretty aggressive and usually, has a plan. But you're right, like it is kind of unknown. Eduardo Rodriguez was mentioned today as a possibility. Sonny Gray's been mentioned as a possibility. Heyman still says the Phillies and Nola are talking first. So it does seem like they're throwing a lot of lines in the water, and we'll see what they eventually pull up here. But, John, we've been doing this game this week, and it's kind of a torture chamber for Renee and I. And it's kind of modeled a little bit after Rod Friedman, the Pitching Ninjas baseball delivery thing where you blur out the person and try and figure out who it is. We're doing it with MLB ballparks. and holy hell, is it hard. I thought for sure Fenway Park was going to be a layup for me. Swing and a miss, missed it. I'm 1 for 3. Renee is 0 for 3. Tyler knows the answer. I'm not bragging about 1 for 3. It's not that good. So you're going to enter the torture chamber with us today and see if you can guess that ballpark. Tyler, when you're ready, you can hit us with the ballpark. Let's see here. We got, drum roll, please.
Oh, my Lord.
Ooh, funky left field line there.
Okay.
Ooh, guess that ballpark. And people in the chat, please. That's a funky center field,
So
too.
while you guys are thinking, we've already guessed, we've already had in the last 3 Busch Stadium, Fenway, and Yankee Stadium. That's the one that Jamie got correct.
Right field
so it's
and
not one of
center
those
field.
3. And please in the chat, drop your thoughts as well. John, I'm not sure what you're thinking so far, but let's think this through together. That left side and the right side is definitely what I'm going to start paying attention to. MBD saying he's terrible at this.
I have 2 that come to mind. And it's Minute Maid Park because of that weird right center, and Petco Park out in San Diego because of that left field.
John, what are you thinking so far?
I have no idea, to be honest. This is a tough game.
I told you it's hard, man.
I'm just trying. I look at every time one of these comes up. I just look at it and I try to make it Citizens Bank Park. I'm like, all right, that little indent could be the W. Mason one. I don't think that's right.
I know we're gonna miss Citizens Bank. I'm gonna go Minute Maid Park. I'm saying Minute Maid Park or Astros, whatever it's currently called. I can't keep up with all the marketing. I don't feel that strong about it, to be honest.
What are we saying here in the chat? Anything?
Nobody. Somebody says, is that Wrigley? Could be. Fenway, we already did, Trevor. Coors, Brian Knight says. San Fran, Kilgore says. But I thought San Fran went straight down right field. I didn't think there was that cut in there. Texas, Crab says.
I'm thinking Angels.
I'm going to stick with Minute Maid as my guess.
Okay, yeah, I see Seattle, Texas, Coors, Minute Maid, San Fran. Okay, oh goodness. Wait, Tyler, is there anybody that's given a correct answer so far?
So the correct answer between the 3 of you and the chat, the correct answer was said at some point.
I don't like
I'm sticking with Minute Maid. I feel
that makes me more nervous because so Trevor, we already did Yankee Stadium.
Shout out Gabe and Ed.
His strategy. I'm going to guess the same stadium every day, and I'll go 1 for 30.
Yes.
And
it's not a bad strategy.
It's actually not a bad strategy because you will get one correct.
I'm sticking with Minute Maid.
It could be City Field, which I did say yesterday.
Shitty Field?
Because no, it doesn't pop out the same way.
We're going to need a final answer here, Renee.
I got all day. John, do you have a final answer?
I think. I'll go San Fran, but this is total challenge.
Okay, I'm gonna go Petco Park. Oh wait, did anybody say that? Because I actually stupid
Barbara
as
just
me.
said San Diego.
Okay,
I guess Petco.
Wait, no, because I don't know because I think was Barbara's included in that when you said.
Minute Maid.
All right, my final answer.
Go a Minute Maid.
My final answer. Gosh, I just want to get one right. I just want to get one right, guys. I'm going to stick with, what did I say first? City Field?
I think you said City Field.
It's not City Field. That's wrong. It's wrong. Oh, no.
You were definitely that student that always was
Oh, my gosh. I used to literally take my paper to the teacher and they'd be like, wait. I'm going to change one more thing. I really want to get an A
on this, and I think it's A material. What can I do better or more? You were definitely that student.
All right, I'm going to go San Fran.
All right, we got 2 San Frans, 1 Minute Maid.
All right, so John and Renee go San Fran. Jamie, you go Minute Maid. By the way, Renee, you should have stuck with what you initially said.
You blew it. You blew it. You had it.
Are you kidding me?
You literally changed out of the right answer.
Are you kidding me?
That's unfortunate.
I'm going to take that point.
Nope. It was
That's
not your
2
final
half
answer.
points. Yesterday I was in the right
points
state.
for you.
Today I was... No.
The Zuli has ruled. No points for you, and may God have mercy on your soul.
The only person that gets points today is Barbara.
Barbara got it.
Gosh,
Nice work, Barbara
I should
Carroll.
have stuck with you because we've been correct on so many things together. I was definitely the student that would take my paper with my pencil, though. I always brought my pencil with me to go hand in my test or whatever, because last second I'd be like, oh, wait, one more thing.
I'd be the one that would hand it in like first, and they'd be like, are you sure you're ready? And I'm like, just get it away from me. I don't want to see that ever again. I was definitely
always one of the last students to hand it in. Still got that A, though.
Of course. I was always the first. I considered it a race, not like an actual grading measure.
I'm counting that. Oh, I'm so disappointed in myself.
Over.
Gosh.
If you say the name
when I go to dinner.
That counts.
And what kind of student were you, John? I know you're a highly educated man. What were you last in, first in?
I was not first. I was not handing anything in early. Always late. Always procrastinating. But I did okay. I did okay my own way.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun hanging out this Friday, John. A lot of interesting stuff to keep an eye on here in the Phillies rumor mill. I love Hot Stove off-season talk almost as much as I do in-season stuff. So I think roster construction, especially in baseball, is such a fascinating sport because it's so individualized. Whereas like football and basketball and hockey, you need your teammates a little bit more than you do in baseball. So I always find that roster construction fascinating in the off-season. So it should be a lot of fun, hopefully.
Hope so. We'll see what happens. Am I going again?
Yeah, and that pretty much like wraps it up for us today. A lot of good stuff. I think the takeaway from today is everybody's horny for Corbin Burnes.
Well, I'm frustrated, and you know what always helps when you're frustrated? Some retail therapy.
You changed out of
so you can go over to Foco.
Correct answer.
You can go over to Foco. Go over to Foco, use that code PHLY that's on your screen to be able to get 10% off of your purchase. We've seen the hats, the merch, the sweatshirts, the t-shirts, the bobbleheads, the collectibles. It's all there at Foco for you that you can rep your squads. And now when you're out at the games, you can be able to, have some awesome merchandise that you're wearing as you're tailgating, as you're cheering on your teams. So definitely head over to Foco. Again, that code is PHLY. Get 10% off. And thank you guys for joining us to play Guess That Ballpark. I'm really devastated, actually.
This is going to eat you up all weekend, and I love it.
If we're doing this this is a baseball show, it is going to eat me up all weekend because I'm such a competitor, and I'm so pissed off. This is my chance. You got a home run, basically, with getting Yankee Stadium correct. I feel like I got, at the least, a ball. I just walked to first. I feel like actually, I think we need to start giving some stats here, and I think because
no soup for you. May God have mercy on your soul.
I won't say it was a hit, but I think that I just was walked to first.
At best, it was a hit by pitch.
Ouch! Literally.
Yeah. You had the right answer. You should have listened to Barbara Carroll. Barbara Carroll gets the utmost respect of everybody.
I am fully looking online at the images of them.
It's a hard game to even
but
cheat.
But it's not the same angle, and it's obviously filled in, and it's not easy at all. But
you cheated, and you still messed up.
Oh, my gosh.
For Renee Washington, for Tyler Zulli, thanks for hanging out with us today on this Friday. Looks to be, I think, a fairly nice weekend out, so I hope everybody enjoys their Eagles bye weekend. Make sure you're checking out our other shows here at the station, the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers, and, of course, the Union, who are on to the second round versus Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess we'll know that schedule, Sunday?
No.
Next round?
Who knows, actually. It should be hopefully Sunday that we find out when the Union play, but it's going to be 18 days before their next game in the Eastern Conference semis. I know somebody really quickly was asking, hypothetical man, you did miss our game for Guess That Ballpark. I know you guys were asking for a run through, Trevor, of the answers. I got none of these answers correct except two halves.
She's even cheating and she's not getting them.
Busch Stadium was our first one that we did on Tuesday. Wednesday, we had Fenway. Thursday, yesterday was Yankee Stadium, and Jamie got that right. I at least had the right state. I'm going to just keep... I actually typed that out.
You don't even get to take credit for it.
And then today, I had Petco Field, but... Barbara got it correct, as none of us got that one right, technically.
It's a really hard game. So thanks for hanging out with us on this Friday. Everybody have a great, safe, and fun weekend out there from all of us here at the PHLY Phillies podcast. Let's hope some Hot Stove rumors pick up over the weekend because we'd love to see some action here from the Phillies and Dave Dombrowski. We will be back on Monday. See y'all then. Love you. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.
all silly like the mayor.